We're all familiar with that phrase, dress to impress. I have no problems with that phrase whatsoever. I feel like we all should be able to dress a certain way that brings out our uniqueness, that serves as a confidence boost sometimes if we're going in for a job interview or a first date or to a certain party. The way we dress, the way we present ourselves is very important. And we want to show ourselves off in a positive manner, and that we take care of ourselves and we take pride in how we present ourselves to the world. So there's nothing wrong with dressing to impress. My issue comes into play when we focus so much on dressing the outside with all these clothes, jewelry, makeup, whatsoever, that we focus so much on dressing up the outside with all of that we forget to address the inside. From my own personal experience, I remember dressing up the outside from an early age. I always wanted the new pair of sneakers, or I wanted this new jersey, or this new pair of jeans, or a nice chain, or a nice watch. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But I was so hyper-focused on acquiring these things to make myself feel good. And that's the problem. I was using things to make me feel good. I was acquiring inanimate objects to make me feel good. But was I really addressing the issue at hand? And the answer is no, I wasn't. And for quite some time, I was too young to realize this. I was too young to understand the concept of dressing up the outside and not worrying about what's going on the inside. And then you throw in drugs and alcohol into the mix, and then I have no direction towards looking inward. I have no motivation or self-reflection inward. It just wasn't in my atmosphere. It wasn't in my immediate surroundings. It wasn't on my mind to look inward and to address what was going on inside. So, to me, clothes made me feel good. Buying new sneakers made me feel good. And later on, as I got older, drugs made me feel good. Drugs made me feel like I was happy, like I could conquer the world sometimes. And that was at the beginning. Fast forward the tape, and at the end, that was far from the case at all. I was depressed. I was frustrated, angry. I felt worthless, with no self-esteem and no self-worth. But to be honest, I had taken myself so far out of myself that I didn't even know what was going on the inside. And those drugs also prevented me from looking inward. They made me not have to, or not want to, or escape from that. Because the further away I got from looking in, the less I had to deal with. And that's one of the major issues, one of the major concerns that I have, or that we should all have, about dressing up the outside. We're using it as a distraction. We're using it as a replacement to make ourselves feel good and not address, not take a look at what's going on the inside. So if we have problems or issues, what do a lot of people do? Retail therapy. We go out and buy something. We go out and fill this void because we don't want to address what's going on the inside. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. There's nothing wrong with buying things here and there, but the motivation has to be correct. The motivation has to be pure. We purchase something because we want it, and it's something that we've been asking ourselves for a while, and we just feel like we want to treat ourselves. Fine. But if that motivation is to mask what's going on the inside, certain feelings of being sad or depressed or anxious, so instead we divert our attention from the inside and we go out to the outside and we buy something. That's the problem. That's the issue. That's the cycle, the habit that we need to break. And I've been guilty of that many times in active addiction, as well as since I've been clean. I've used everything in the outside world to try to fix what's an inside job, what needs to be fixed from the inside out, not the outside in. And this isn't easy because we live in this time where everybody is so focused on having a new phone, a new car, a new pair of sneakers, any new type of gadget, new electronic, new makeup, new, I don't know. Everything needs to be new, brand new. Update this, updated that. And it becomes such a process. It becomes so straining on all of us to always be in the new. Not in the know, but in the new. Always with something new. Always with something shiny and fancy and out of the box. I mean, we literally have videos of kids or people, grown adults maybe, opening up boxes, unwrapping presents, unboxing things because we have such enjoyment, we have such happiness towards this action, opening up this present and getting something new. How about we open up our insides and look in and take a deep dive and see what's going on? Why don't we try to understand why we act a certain way, why we speak a certain way, why we handle situations a certain way? Why don't we focus on that? Because it's not easy. It can be ugly. It can be painful. It surely was for me. Doing a step 4 and a step 5, really writing down everything, vomiting, regurgitating all of the things that I had done in my past under active addiction as well as clean is not pretty. I'm not happy about some of the things that I've done. But at the same time, once we start to work through that pain, once we start to work through all the things that have been locked away, then we can start to grow. Because we don't grow by buying things. We don't grow by dressing up the outside. That can give us a little confidence boost, a little self-esteem boost, and it can allow us to present ourselves in a certain manner, in a positive fashion. But if we're fully dressed up on the outside, but we're empty and hollow and suffering on the inside, what good does that do? Who does that help? Oh yeah, somebody might remember that you had on a new pair of Jordans or that your necklace was fabulous when you went out. But you're not really helping yourselves. You're not helping you. I'm not helping me if I just continuously focus and pay all of my attention to how I present myself and not who I am, who you are, who we are, what makes us. All the good things, all the bad things, all the flaws, all the character defects, but all of our assets, because we all have assets. We all have flaws. That's what makes us humans. But the thing is, we have to address those flaws. We have to address those assets, because all of that in completion makes us human beings. But if we take that focus away from those flaws and just think we can buy something new or wear this or put on that to distract ourselves, then we're gonna continuously move further away from actually understanding who we are, or to go on that path to self-discovery, to discover who we are. So we need to really focus on our motivations. Our motivations when we're dressing up the outside. You know, is it for a job interview? Is it for a first date? Is it for a party? That's cool, that's fine. It's okay to present ourselves in that manner. But if the motivation is to just distract or take the focus and the attention off of addressing what's going on the inside, that's where the issue is. That's where we need to change. That's where we need to understand that that doesn't serve us. Maybe in that moment, maybe that rush of getting something new or having something that's the latest thing out feels good. And it's temporary. It's very short-lived. It's a quick high. But eventually, that's going to end. And guess what? We're going to be back in the same position we were before we bought that materialistic thing. And that's trying to avoid the pain that's going on inside of us. So what do? We keep doing other things to distract ourselves. So the motivation needs to be understood. We need to get to that point where the decisions that we're making are so focused on addressing the inside, not moving away, taking the focus off addressing what's going on the inside, and doing self-reflection, doing inward work instead of this outward work. So that's what we need to do. We need to become so aware, so mindful, so conscious of our motivations on a day-to-day basis. And understand that if we're motivated in such a fashion to distract ourselves from dealing with problems, that's where we need to change. And it's not going to happen overnight. But if little by little we can start to move away from those bad behaviors, move away from those self-sabotaging behaviors, then we can start to grow. We can start to evolve. Because if we cut that out, then we're changing. Then we're growing. Then we're becoming better versions of ourselves. One decision at a time. One moment at a time. But it has to start somewhere. And it has to start at some time. You can put it off till tomorrow. You can put it off till next week. You can say, oh, Monday is a new week. That's when I'm going to start. But that is not going to help. Take it from me, from somebody who kept having deadlines in his life for so many different things. And when that deadline came up, I made a new deadline. So start now. Why not? There is no better time than the present. And yes, it's going to be painful. And yes, there's going to be struggle. But that's what makes it beautiful. Facing that struggle, facing that pain, working through it, and seeing the light. Going through that transformation can be ugly and painful. But once you break free and come out on the other side, that's the beauty. That's where you can have those feelings of happiness, of joy, of freedom, and self-discovery. Don't we all really want to truly know who we are? Don't we want to know the person that we are? We need to introduce ourselves to ourselves sometimes because we're so focused on the external. Come back to the internal. Come back to the inside. Start one day at a time, one moment at a time, to introduce yourself back to yourself. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Do not rob yourself of this opportunity. Take it seriously. Stop looking out. Start looking in. And yes, if you noticed, I did mess up in the last video clip. But that's okay, because I'm human, and I'm by no means perfect. And it's also about 15 degrees outside, making it kind of hard to talk perfectly clearly. But that's the thing. When I made that mistake, I knew I made that mistake, and my knee-jerk reaction was to stop the video and start it all over again. But that was the old me. That's not the new me. The new me knows that mistakes are okay. We don't have to strive for perfection. But I would have never, ever understood this or came to this conclusion if I didn't get to know myself, if I didn't introduce myself to myself over a period of time to present day. And that's the thing. A lot of us are still so focused on the external, so focused on the outside, that we don't take the time to focus on the inside. We're disconnected. We don't know who we are. We just know what we wear as clothes or everything on the outside. External, external, external. And we're disconnected. And we never give ourselves that opportunity, that chance to get to know who we are. Flaws and all. Good things, bad things, everything. All of it. We deprive ourselves of that opportunity. So don't do it anymore. Today is the day. Now is the time. Give yourself that opportunity, that chance to get to know you and to be a confident person in who you are, to have self-worth, to have self-esteem, and to not just rely on the external to make you feel good, but to know deep down inside that you're good, that you're happy, that you're joyous, that you're free. I'm not sure there was anything else I wanted to talk about, but it's fairly cold out here, and I think it's about time I go inside. But I just wanted to remind everybody, and by reminding everybody, it's a good reminder for myself. Always check your motivations. If you're buying something, or you have retail therapy on your mind, or you're doing something that's on the external front. If you're doing that, if you're engaging in those behaviors, check the motivation and make sure you're not distracting yourself from doing the inside work. You're not distracting yourself from issues and problems that you're having internally. If there's internal turmoil, understand that your reaction shouldn't be to go towards the outside, to try to dress the outside, to try to buy something to fill that void. So focus on that motivation. Like I said, it's okay to buy things here and there. It's okay to do things for yourself, to treat yourself. But understand the motivation. Understand the why. And if it's for reasons of distracting and filling a void, that's where you need to address that issue. That's where the habits need to be broken. Those routines need to be broken because it's become something that's ingrained in your mind and so habitual that you just do it without even noticing sometimes because guess what? It feels good at that moment. Short term. It doesn't address the long-term issues, which is what's going on the inside. Have an amazing day, everybody. Have a blessed day. Always be grateful. Always remember to be grateful for this moment right now, regardless of what's going on, is all we have. So be grateful for it. And remember to smile. Always remember to smile. I'll talk to everybody soon. Peace.